Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cynthia Kome and I work with Pesol Systems Limited. I'm excited to have you here with us as a company in today's webinar. Our topic for today is how to leverage technology in recruiting during this period of COVID-19 and beyond. So the outbreak of COVID-19 has made livelihood difficult, and work is also difficult now. Work has become very difficult lately, and for HR and recruiters, knowing that their work can be hectic and stressful, it gets overwhelming even now that we have to observe some COVID-19 protocols, and for that matter, limiting the physical interaction we have with people. So HR, in the bit of filling gaps that they have in the organization, have asked questions or have questions on their mind, like how they can recruit people in this period that we are supposed to limit physical interaction with people. How they can even conduct interviews, because it's not a good thing to have a physical interaction. So it has become necessary for recruiting processes to be automated. And that also has left questions on how that can be done technologically. How can we leverage technology in our recruiting processes? And what tool will be the appropriate one to even decide to use for the processes? And that is why this afternoon, we here at Pesol Systems Limited are excited to present to you SAP SuccessFactors Recruiting Management Module, a tool that you can use in your recruiting processes. I'm excited also because I have here with me a colleague who I'm going to introduce in a bit to tell us all about SAP SuccessFactors Recruiting Management Module. Coincidentally, we have the same name, but we are not related. I wish we were though. Okay, so my guest this afternoon is Rahel Kome, and at this point, I'll hand over to her to introduce herself. All right, Rahel, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Cynthia. And good afternoon to our listeners. My name is Rahel Kome, and I work with Pesol Systems Limited as an SAP Consulting Associate. I specialize in human capital management, SAP SuccessFactors to be precise. When it comes to the domain of recruiting, what I have done is to implement a couple of recruiting solutions, that's the SAP SuccessFactors recruiting, to some clients. I also help in supporting them get the right talents and then engage them even before they recruit them. Also, I've built career sites for our customers that is actually helping them in their branding of their career sites for talents and candidate engagement. Thank you, Cynthia.
Right, thank you very much. I'd like to encourage you to keep your questions coming as we move along in the webinar. If you have any question, kindly drop that in our chat box. Thank you. All right, so we zoom in straight into the conversation this afternoon. Rahel, can you tell us what SAP SuccessFactors Recruiting Management Module is all about?
Okay, so the SAP SuccessFactors Recruiting Module is a part of the whole SAP SuccessFactors suite. And what it does is that it helps organizations or companies to source, engage, and then hire employees into the organization. Basically, that is a technology that would help you with all your sourcing needs, engaging your candidates throughout the recruiting process, and then finally hiring them, if need be, into the organization.
Great. All right, so a tool that will help us source, engage, and hire our candidates.
Exactly.
Okay, so when you were talking, you mentioned sourcing. How is sourcing done with SAP SuccessFactors recruiting management module?
Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia. So I'll zoom straight and then share my screen, and then I'll show our dear listeners how we can use this solution to source for candidates.
Okay.
So a moment as I log into the system. Okay, so I'm in the SAP SuccessFactors solution now. I hope my viewers can have access to it, they can see it.
Yeah.
So I'll just zoom straight into the recruiting model. And then so we know that sourcing always starts with raising a job requisition. And then it would have to go through the various approval processes. And then finally, we'll get the job posted out there and then invite people to apply for the job. I would open one requisition details for you to have a look at it, how we actually configure our requisition details sheet or form for recruiters to actually fill and then post the job out there. So we'll zoom straight in and then look at one of them, which is the programmer. Okay, so that's the requisition details form. So it shouldn't take you more than 3 to 5 minutes to complete this form. And then bear in mind that this is actually designed to suit the organization. So however, you may be using a solution to do your recruiting, or you may be doing the hard copy or the paper one. So we are just going to copy. Then we'll also advise you on other new things that you can add up to make it exciting and nice. So you can have fields like your job title, information about your company, department, location, and all of that, the job start dates. You can even go ahead and then have your job role. You can go down, reason for vacancy. Even salary information can also be put here on your requisition form for you. You can have your recruiting team also here. You can have your job description header and then the footer, that's any information about the company sort of that you want to start the job requisition with, the job description with, and then the footer would end the job description for you. One amazing thing about this solution is also that it gives you the opportunity to automatically disqualify candidates who do not fit the role that they are applying for. So you can set in some questions, some disqualifying questions, so that if people are not able to answer correctly or don't fall within the questions that you have asked,
then it disqualifies them automatically.
Exactly. The system disqualifies them automatically. You can add competencies here. You can also go and add your job profile. That's your job title. And then mind you, these job titles, we can actually have all your job titles, all your job descriptions in the system already. So when it's time to fill a particular vacant position, all you have to do is to just go click on the job that you want to fill, and then your job description is populated for you here. You can have competencies attached that it can be a basis for interviewing also.
All right, so we've gone ahead to source for our potential candidates. Where do we go from sourcing? Where do we go?
So that's organization by organization. So after sourcing, that's after posting your job out there, you have people applying. What do you do? So that is a sole decision of the company. But what most people do is to, either shortlist, have their interviews, or just go straight ahead and hire. So it depends on what organization does. So what SAP SuccessFactors does here is that we're going to give you a talent pipeline. So this talent pipeline would populate with your details or your recruiting pipeline. So I'll quickly show you how the talent pipeline is like in SAP SuccessFactors recruiting. So for instance, if there's a new application, it all comes here. So after a new application, what do you do as an organization? Do you phone screen? Do you shortlist? Do you do a couple of interviews, background checks, and then all of that? So it moves on from there. after the applications come in, you will probably phone screen, you will probably do your shortlist interview, and then it goes on and on like that.
I see. All right. So we are at this stage, we are ready for interview, right?
Sure.
Okay. So how do we do that now? Like I said earlier on, we are supposed to be observing social distancing. How do we do that, or how does the system help us conduct interviews and yet observe this protocol?
Okay. So this same tool can help you conduct your interviews at the comfort of your home or your office, because it's actually supported on the mobile also. So as a recruiter or a hiring manager or anybody in charge of scheduling interviews, you can actually just go onto your interview scheduling platform, and then you can just look for the job or the position that which you are actually scheduling for. So for instance, I'll just pick one position here like this. Then I'll start scheduling for you. There's opportunity with this system to actually schedule a virtual interview. So virtual interview, what type of technology or tool are you using for your virtual interviews? As a Skype?
So we have the opportunity to use, like I see, Skype, WebEx, Zoom. So the interview is done virtually, even on the system.
Exactly. So all you need is just to put your interviewers' names here, and then you invite them for the interview. I think one thing too about this interview platform is that it actually integrates with Outlook. So you're able to get your Outlook calendar integrated onto the interview scheduling, so that if at a point you are busy or you are booked, it will actually show here, so that it will advise the recruiter as to the next available time you are free, so that they can choose that time for you.
I see. Okay. So we've gone ahead and conducted interview, and the candidate is successful.
Sure.
Where do we go from here? Okay, so usually it's time for the offer letter to be given to the successful candidate. Can that be done in the system, and how is that done?
Yeah, it's very possible, but even before then, it's time to rate the candidates even before we give the candidate an offer. So let me just take a couple of minutes to show you the assessment bit, and then we can go to the offer letter, and then the offer approval bit. So, like I said, this tool is
assessments can be done in the system.
Exactly, assessments can be done in the system. So all the interviewers have access to the interview central where they can do assessments. So they just go inside, you see the candidate, you click on rate now, and then you can even have access to all candidates who have been scheduled for interview. So as the interview is going on, you'd be rating them on the competencies. You can put in comments, and then at the end of everything, you can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the candidates. And then all these scores are collated on the recruiter's platform. So the recruiter goes in and sees the total score of each and every individual or each and every candidate.
I see. So this collated score gets to the recruiter, and then you get to know who is to be offered the job.
Exactly. So if you're going to base your judgment on the average score, so the average score you can see at the summary section, then that's fine. You can just choose maybe the candidate with the highest score to offer the job to. You may also go in and then do some checks as well. You may use the interview notes that the interviewers would attach. You may use the comments that they would attach. I mean, you may take into considerations a lot of factors, and then you can select your best candidates from here and then send the offer to the person.
Okay, I have a question from one of our listeners. And listeners, I would like to encourage you to keep your questions coming. So one of our listeners wants to know what happens if, even after the interview, the assessment, the panels disqualify the candidates at this stage. What do we do from here with the recruiting module?
Okay, so if all candidates are disqualified at this point, mind you, when the requisitions or the applications were coming in, there were quite a number of them, and you may have moved quite a number of people to the first, second, or the third interview. So let's say at this stage is the third interview, I think all these people were disqualified. You may just want to move a step back on your pipeline to your second interview. Someone. Exactly, and then pick a candidate or a couple of candidates from there, move them to the next interview, and then you can conduct your interview. So you didn't have to go back to sourcing new candidates again.
I see. All right. Someone wants to know that is the solution accessible anywhere, or you have to be at a particular location?
No, you can't. It solely works with the internet. So if you are anywhere with internet connection, you have access to your internet on your phone or on your tablet, on your computer, you just have access to the solution.
So if I'm a recruiter, I do not have to necessarily be in the office before I can raise any job requisition post or even conduct interviews?
No, you don't need to. You could be sitting by a poolside, sipping some pina colada or something, and just enjoying yourself, and then you can just post the job out there.
That's interesting. I see. All right. So can we move on to how the offer letter is done?
Okay. So I'll take you straight to how the offer letter is sent. But if you know, in most organizations, even before they send out offer letters, they may want to send the offer for approval to some senior management or to the hiring managers or to, a board in the organization to approve the offer. Some do this by looking at the salary associated or other details before they go out to actually invite the candidates in. So when it comes to offer with this system, it's actually divided into two, the offer approval bits and then the offer letter bits. So once again, since we are working with the programmer role, I'll just go into the programmer role and then I'll show you. So here you can see that there have been 3 people put in the offer stage.
Yeah.
So you may want to, after the interview assessment, you saw that probably Cynthia was your best candidate and you may want to extend the offer to her. So what you just do is open her profile, you go to your offer, and then you do your offer approval. So you may add as many approvers as you want. And then once you send this for approval, it triggers an automatic email to all approvers. And then they have access to it. They can just go through it and then approve it or decline it. Or they can even escalate it to another person to actually look at it before approving it also for you. And then once it's done, once everybody has approved, the recruiter gets an email notification that, look, everyone has approved the offer. So it's time to send the candidate an offer letter. Same way we go straight to the offer, and then we send the offer letter. And then so in sending offer letter, this is not a time to now copy and paste or now type the letter or whatever that you have to do. Once you open the offer letter, so we take your templates from beginning of the project or the implementation. We take all your templates, your interview templates, your offer templates, job requisition templates, and all of that. So we keep the templates or we upload all templates into the system. So for example, if I choose an offer letter template, this is the message that comes with it. This is the email that is going out to the candidate. What you see here are all tokens. So if there's dear candidate's name here, for instance, once the email goes to the person, it will populate the candidate's name here. The job requisition title, that's the role, the hiring manager's name. So you can have information like the position, compensation details, the benefits, employment relationships, and all of that. So then you can go ahead and send the letter to the candidate. And after sending the letter to the candidate has an opportunity to either accept the offer or decline the offer. Maybe the time the offer was coming, he or she had found something else doing, so we want to decline the offer. So we give the candidate that opportunity to either accept the offer or decline the offer.
Okay, great. All right, listeners, I'd like to encourage you to keep your questions coming in. There's a question here for you, Rahel. Someone would like to know if the candidates get notification that they are disqualified or they've been moved to the next stage in the recruiting process.
Yeah, exactly, they do. So this system is in such a way that you wouldn't have people coming to your office or calling you, asking you, please, I sent in an application and where am I? I just want to know where I am on the process. You wouldn't get these things, because once you move the person to a particular pipeline, automatically there's an email notification, email templates attached to every pipeline. So immediately you place the candidate in an interview stage, the person gets an email notification, you'll be moved to the interview, and then an interview will be scheduled for you shortly. Once you move the person to a shortlist, so you've been shortlisted for this role, and then we'll contact you later. Once you put the person in a second interview, it will alert the person. So at every point in time, even if you disqualify the candidate, the candidate gets a notification that, we are sorry, but we consider that applicants. You may want to stick around our site, and then if there's any offer, you may want to apply for the job. So at every point, the candidate knows where he or she is on the recruiting process.
Okay. All right. I'm sure this question is from HR. I think you have answered already, but I think the person wants. So he's asking, what happens if I want to go back to a candidate that's applied earlier?
Yeah, so you have all the candidates detail in the system. So maybe after interview you couldn't get anybody, you may want to go back, and then the person will definitely be in one of the pipelines. So you just access the pipelines and then get to the candidates. You have details about the candidates, because when the candidate is applying, the person applies with his or her details, telephone number, email, even every detail on the CV is populated here on the candidate profile. So you can have everything for the candidate to reach him or her at every point.
So it eliminates the stress of going through paper if you're doing it the manual way. Exactly. Or even posting the job all over again.
Sure, exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, Rahel. Unfortunately, we have to bring our webinar to an end. But before we do that, what would be your final remarks?
So I would encourage all organizations to actually purchase or try as much as possible to reach us. They should reach out to us, and then we can be there to, explain more benefits of the solution to them. Because this solution is really good, and it's really helping a lot of people who are already using the SAP SuccessFactors recruiting module. So I'd encourage you all to speak to us, and then we can help you. We can help solve all your recruiting needs for you with this solution.
All right. Listeners, like I said, it's been exciting, rather too short a time. We would have loved to have you with us a bit longer, but unfortunately we would have to leave. But I would like to leave with telling you that this is a solution we need to sign in, SAP SuccessFactors recruiting module, a solution that will help us source candidates, engage them in this day where we are supposed to be observing all the protocols with respect to COVID-19, social distancing and all. We can have virtual interviews with the system, and then we could even set up panels virtually. They will raise the people without having to meet them physically. and we could even share or send them their offer letters also through the system. It's exciting to know that the system also is a cloud. That means that wherever you are, you could access it with ease. Like Rahel said, we would like to engage with you even after this webinar. So kindly reach us and then we could discuss further. Thank you very much for being with us. We know that we're going to be in touch soon. My name is Cynthia Kome, and I did this with Rahel Kome. Thank you. I hope to see you or hear from you soon. Please, let's stay safe. And God bless us all. Thank you very much for your time, Rahel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Thank you, our cherished listeners. Hope to hear from you very soon. Thank you.